Hi, welcome back to Podium Pop. My name is Gracie, and I'm here with my co-host Celine. Today we are going to give a race recap on the Singapore Grand Prix, and it has been quite a weekend.
Oh my gosh, it's been a weekend.
It's been a weekend. We're going to get right into it, but before we do, make sure you are following us here on Spotify and YouTube, and make sure you pop on over to our socials. We are on TikTok and Instagram mainly. Oh, we just started Threads this week.
We did. We're Threaders now.
We're Threaders. It's the same as Instagram, Podium Pop. Go follow us over there. Should we pop the bottle and get right into it?
Let's pop the bottle.
Let's do it.
Very nice.
Thank you. We're going to start at the beginning of the week. I know there has been much to talk about with Daniel Ricciardo. Once again, we are recording Sunday after the race. It's going on Monday, so we'll see what happens Monday and Tuesday. I feel like there's going to be a lot. So at the beginning of this week, we just went right into it with Max Verstappen and the FIA.
Yeah, so in the press conference that started out the weekend, that started out media day, Max made an oopsies and basically, what did he say? Like, the car was fucked. Which, like... Okay, like...
Was it?
Toto said, Checo said the car was fucked. Like...
Was the car fucked?
Yes.
Then he should be allowed to say it. Somebody said that on TikTok, and I was like, yeah, absolutely.
So he basically cussed during the press conference, and the FIA decided now that they want to get their panties in a twist and get upset about it, and basically reprimanded him, and gave him community outreach, which is basically community service. And... I personally think that that's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
And I think everybody does.
No, I think, yeah.
But the things that have followed from this may be some of the funniest things that's ever happened in Formula One.
I'm going to go ahead and throw the word iconic in there.
It's very iconic.
It's been iconic.
Very iconic energy. And not many people could pull this off. Max Verstappen is one of the few on the grid right now that could do something like this.
Yeah.
But basically, Max decided that at this point, he's going to do the bare minimum and not really participate in any FIA mandated press conference.
Yeah.
In a form of protest. I don't know, like, fight the power. Let's go.
He's been giving, like, one-word answers, like, responding, like, very short, but, like, not, like, a mean short, but being like, oh, I don't know. And then he even said, and after, like, the qualifying press conference, he was like, this is not to you, I just don't want to get any more community service.
Yeah, he's not really hiding it. He literally said, I don't want to answer any questions in here. I will answer any questions afterwards. I will talk to the media. I just don't want to answer any questions in this press conference.
Yeah. And
sure enough, he did basically have his own press conference outside of the actual formal press conference. I saw a tweet. I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw a tweet where I guess he was like in like the common space right outside, and there were a bunch of people asking him questions, and an FIA person came by and was like, "You can't do this here," and he's like, "Okay." They're like, "You have to do it like in the media pen." He's like, "Okay, we'll do it on the way," and then he goes, "Come on, guys." It's like literally having his friends like being like, "Come on, guys, let's hit the road."
Let's go. Yeah, that was funny. The pictures that came out of that.
Oh my gosh. And for people that are watching on YouTube, you'll see this. Sorry if not. But my phone background.
That's actually good. I kind of want to make that my phone background.
Like, that's iconic.
Yeah, that's good.
You can't see it that well. But it's cute.
Yeah, no, that was good. Oh, what I was going to say is I don't think I could use the word aura that well, but if I've ever seen a photo with aura, it is that one.
Yeah. No, it is, the whole
everybody thinks it's bullshit, and too.
I think it was really helpful that during the qualifying press conference, they asked Lando and Lewis, who were in there with Max, they're like, well, what do you all think of this? And Lando first made a joke being like, he deserved it, which obviously they were joking around with each other. But then he was like, I think it's ridiculous. And then Lewis doubled down, which, like, coming from Lewis, like, that's super important to have his backing. And he was like, all of the drivers support him.
Yeah.
There were rumors that a lot of talk and a lot of displeasure in that standing was talked about in the GPDA group chat. I love this. I think it's so silly but so funny at the same time. Like, okay, like Max, like at the end of the day, like it's not gonna hurt him to go do a community service thing for like a day, but like it's the principle of it.
Yeah, it is the principle of it.
Like, these are grown men.
Yeah.
In sports. You sit them down right after a very high intense situation, qualifying in Singapore of all places.
Yeah.
You sit them down. Well, I guess he did. It wasn't after qualifying when he said cussed, but like he's a grown man.
It's literally fine. Like that, it's like also like in the NFL, like it's a running joke when they get mic'd up. They're like, "Oh, watch what you're saying, and then they'll still be like, "Oh, fuck" or something, and they'll be like, "Oh, the mic's on," and they just bleep it out and go on.
Yeah,
like it's literally fine. I promise you.
How about this FIA? Why don't you just grow up?
Grow up. I saw one person being like, "Well, what about the kids that are watching?" And someone was like, "There's F1 kids for a reason. Yeah. Turn it on."
Yeah,
I heard a lot of people being like, "Coda, let's throw a protest." There's like fans and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a protest. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I think it's such a silly and, like, a small thing.
Yeah.
But again, like, the FIA is so, like, they, like, cherry pick things that they want to enforce. Yeah. And then, like, it's stupid. It's dumb. And I think it's fair that they're all fed up about it. But the jokes that have come from it, like, even so in the cool down room, Oscar was like, Lando, like, how did you feel? Like, they were showing a reclip. Spoiler alert. There's a reclip of Lando, like, scraping the wall. And Oscar goes, Lando, keeping in mind that you can't use certain words, or I forget his exact wording, but...
So without cuss words.
Without cuss words, what would you say? And he was like, I was funky. Funked.
That's so funny. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that happened just right in the beginning of the week, and it's been funny. It's
been pretty much like a big topic of conversation. Like, I don't always watch the press conferences, but I made sure to tune into the qualifying one because I knew it was going to be good, and it was. I was giggling the whole time.
Oh my gosh, the whole time. It was so funny. Let's get into racing.
Okay.
And who was at the top of the charts all week? Mr. Lando Norris.
Woo, woo,
McLaren was doing great this weekend, so was Oscar, but Lando just steadily was amazing this weekend.
Absolutely destroying.
Of course, we famously loved it.
We're Lando girls, we're McLaren girls, we're Oscar girls too, but... So we had a very good weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Lando got pole position, and spoiler alert, he led the whole entire race. He made it through lap 1 without any incidents, and he held it the whole time.
Yeah, it was good.
Even built up a big enough gap to pit and come back out in the lead. I loved it.
Go ahead.
I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I loved it too. Qualifying was good. It was pretty standard. There was no, like, shocking things that happened.
Carlos crashed.
Well, I'm in Q3, but, like, there was no one, like, out in Q1 or Q2 that was shocking.
No.
The Williams, that was shocking. How great they were doing.
Yeah, they were doing really good.
They did really good all weekend, honestly, except for, the actual race. There were some issues. But, yeah, in Q3, 2 minutes in, Carlos crashed, which really kind of put the pressure on to everybody else that was still in qualifying.
It caused a red flag.
Yeah, it caused a red flag. And then it caused it to where everybody else could really only do one out lap and then one push lap. And the only person that had a time set before Carlos crashed was Oscar. So Oscar did put another lap together, but he kind of messed up in Sector 3 a little bit. That caused his time to not be where it needed to be. Lando put a great lap together. He got pole. And then Charles put a really good lap together. I think he was either in second or third, but he was in third. His time got delayed because of track limits, which track limits wasn't a huge thing here because the walls were so close. So it's kind of impressive that he managed to do that.
Was impressive.
But he did.
Yeah.
So Lewis and George, the Mercedes, they were really good during qualifying as well. I think they were kind of shocked with how good they were.
I think Lewis expected it. Lewis talked about this weekend. He was like, what are you expecting for the weekend? He was like, we're going to make it to Q3. I think they were expecting it this weekend.
But they didn't do good during the practice sessions.
Well, and then they started to because they kept Fred in the simulator all night. Literally
Poor Fred.
all night Fred was in the simulator.
Save him.
Literally somebody save him. The work that Fred puts in for this team.
I hope they pay him well.
Oh, gosh. What do you think that he gets paid, actually?
I mean...
Such a good question.
I don't know. Should I ask Pietro?
We both just picked up our teas to take a sip. Yeah, no, seriously. People were joking about it. They were like, "Oh, these Mercedes results, that's insane." And then someone was like, "They're gonna lock Fred in the simulator overnight." And sure enough, tweeted the next morning, Mercedes was like, "Fred put in all the work all night long. Now about in the sim." And he works some type of magic.
Great job, Fred.
Yeah.
So qualifying, the final results were Lando.
Mm-hmm.
Max qualified second. Lewis, George, Oscar, Hulkenberg.
Polar Bear in Arlington, Texas.
Where the hell did you come from? And then Fernando, Yuki, Charles, and Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about it a little bit more at the end as well, but everyone kind of knew that the pressure was really on for Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he did not deliver. He got out in Q1.
Mm-hmm.
Just got out. He was, I think, in 15th. But 15th? I don't know. He was close to getting through to Q2, but he didn't. So we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But everyone had their eyes on his results.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, he did not really bring much to the table.
The start of the race, actually, before we talk about the race at all, it's been all clean, and we haven't seen a safety car since Canada.
It's crazy.
Canada was in June. It's September.
Crazy.
So, start of the race, for the most part, was pretty clean.
Which, another thing to kind of tack on to that is they have never raced in Singapore without a safety car coming out.
Yeah, so that's
ever.
wild. I'm going to highlight Franco's start of the race. He did such a good job. I don't know. Somebody tweeted and was like, "We need to start giving people 9 races with no immediate future and let them see what they're gonna do." It's absolutely amazing.
I mean, kind of Liam Lawson did the same thing.
Yeah,
because they gave him this set of races and said basically Daniel's coming back when
he's better.
And so him and Franco and Liam delivered as well in Singapore. Just touching a bit on Franco, which we'll continue talking, but that boy deserves a seat next year.
Yeah, he really does.
And I really, 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 really freaking hope that Sauber understands that they should give him a seat.
I have a very strong opinion that I think it would be absolutely stupid to not give him a seat. Valtteri Bottas, I love you.
Love you, but
I think Franco deserves the Sauber seat more than Valtteri.
Yeah, because he's bringing these results in.
Yeah,
and it's not like he's bringing these results in. Like Ollie did amazing when he stepped in for Carlos. He was in a Ferrari. I mean, Liam did amazing, and yes, the RB is not the best, but it's still an RB. But Franco is bringing these results in a Williams. Mm-hmm. He's challenging his very impressive teammate. Yeah. His teammate that basically is so good in a Williams that it caused both Logan Sargent and Nick DeVries, Nicholas Latifi, yeah. You're right, Nicholas Latifi, to basically lose their seat because they couldn't keep up with Alex.
Yeah.
So the fact that Franco came in with very, very limited experience in a Formula One car and is able, already on his, third race, to be, qualifying up next to his teammate and challenging his teammate. He deserves a seat, and I think, there's really not many options to put him in Sauber.
Yeah.
And if, for some reason, that happens, the rookie lineup next year...
So good.
I mean, there's always, these little... I mean, technically, Ollie's done 2 races this year. Franco's had some races. Liam's had some races. But, that's just...
That's great. This is gonna rival the 2019 rookies so much.
Franco, Liam, Jack, Kimi... Ollie?
Yeah, so right now it's just Jack, Kimi, and Ollie, but
yeah,
Liam's gonna be in there.
Yeah.
Also, I know... 2 points. I know it's a Sauber, and I know it's hard for Valtteri to get these results right now, and the Williams is doing better than the Sauber, but also I think we talk about this all the time. Continuing to not bring in these new drivers is just, it's going to screw them over in the end. Mm-hmm. They're going to find these different series to go to, and I don't know.
It's going to cause issues.
I feel like I can't talk about it again.
Long term. Yeah.
And also, I think this is shocking Alex to be challenged.
Yeah, and he's not happy for sure. And like we very rarely see frustrated Alex.
No. He was frustrated. He's like, Franco came in and dive bombed me. What is he doing? But everybody watching was like, that was a great move.
Yeah, even at one point, Checo, this was like later in the race, but Checo was stuck behind Franco.
For a long time.
For a very long time. And even Checo's like, this he's hard to get around. This Franco is good. Like,
he said over the radio.
Yeah. And God, like, imagine Franco hearing that after the race. Like, I'd be like, wow, like, that's... Checo's not one to just toss... Like, I feel like Lewis is, like, one to very much toss out, like, encouragement to the younger drivers. Absolutely. And, like, even Max, a lot of times, like, praises younger drivers because they know it makes a big difference. But Checo, doesn't really say stuff like that.
No.
Same with, like, Valtteri. Like, you don't hear Valtteri, like, praising a lot of the younger drivers. Unless, like, directly asked, they will.
Yeah.
But for, like... Unprompted praise
mid-race.
From Checo mid-race. That was pretty good. Gosh, he had to have been impressed.
We have got to find him a seat. It would just be silly for Sauber too.
Yeah, but that was a bit of a tangent. But back to it.
Yeah, back to the race.
Back to the race. Speaking of Williams and Alex, he did have to retire the car.
He had a cooling issue. Cooling issue.
Because he was struggling throughout the race before.
He retired like around lap to 15-ish.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yeah, he was struggling throughout the whole thing.
Yep. And then K-Mag retired like very close to the end. He had a puncture at one point, and like I was like, he was going so slow. I was like, I don't even know if he's gonna make it back to the
safety
pit.
car.
Yeah. But he did make it back. He got new tires on, and then he went back out. He got on new boots.
He did get on new boots.
But then he went back out, and then he ended up retiring the car when it was pretty close to the end.
Yeah. And now, while Lando did lead every lap, and it was very impressive, these gaps he built, I was a little scared at some point.
No, yeah, and I was very terrified. Like, everyone was like, that was a boring race. Meanwhile, me and Gracie were at the edge of our seats, like, being like, no, like, I wish it's over. Because he kept, like, Lando built a 20-plus second gap to Max. And the whole time, like, there wasn't a lot of pressure on him, but he kept pushing. He was hitting the walls. He was trying to get around, like, cars that he was lapping that, like, he really didn't need to take that risk. And I don't quite understand why his race engineer weren't like... I mean, he tried a couple times.
No, Will tried
chill
so
out,
many times.
Calm down.
He was like,
drink some water.
He was like, you have got to cool the tires into this. Like, your rears are going to go.
Yeah. But I think that, I mean, at the end of the day, Lando's a race car driver.
Yeah.
You can't really expect him to get in and just be like, all right, you have enough of a gap, chill out. Like, he's not going to do that. Max never did that either when he was leading that much.
I think for a while, too, it was not when he was so much passing those midfield lapped cars, but he was trying to get fastest lap. So he was trying to get, and then he got it done, but then he was still just like, that's when Will came over and was like, all right, mate, take a drink.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah, which I think, again, kind of a side note is, obviously Singapore has a reputation of being like a very hot, humid race. And a lot of times people consider it the hardest race of the year, which I think last year was an outlier because Qatar was so, like, so hot. And even a lot of the people that struggled today still was like, Qatar was worse. Qatar last year. But it's still a really hard and physically demanding race. So the fact that, like, Franco came in with his only, like, again, third race in a Formula One car, finished out the race, and yes, he didn't get in points, but he was so close to points. I think, I'm very impressed with Franco. And another thing, I'm sorry, I am a big Franco girl today, but Franco does so good on the media side, and as much as I love Logan Sargent, don't get me wrong, Franco is doing two things that Logan couldn't. Again, I love Logan. Sorry.
Go ahead. I have a.
One, he is keeping up with his teammate, and 2, he is building relationships with the other drivers and going out of his way to network and build relationships that Logan, I think, was too introverted to do.
Yes, I was going to say that.
You see him talking to these other drivers. Like, every time, like, there was, like, a clip and he was, like, talking to Charles. And then the next second he was talking to Pierre. And then you see him talking to Lando. And it's, like, that's, like, what is going to, like, get fans on his side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as much as Logan built up a fan base, it took him a while.
Yeah.
It didn't happen the first year. I mean, maybe a little bit near the end, but, like, it wasn't an immediate thing where people are immediately, like, charmed by Franco, and that's going to do good for him. And that's going to get him far in Formula One because, as we can see, it worked for Daniel Ricciardo.
Okay.
And
that's quite a statement.
I mean, Daniel Ricciardo, we'll talk about it later.
We'll get to Daniel.
He's been in this series for a long time without getting a race win on a team that normally would be like, okay, you're done. Or
RB?
if you're not, no, just RB and Red Bull together.
Oh. What I was going to say is Franco came in and said, I have 9 races. I'm going to network the hell out of this.
Yep.
He's talking to every driver. He is making these connections. He's at a conference. He's businessman at a conference.
He literally is. He's doing so good with the media too. Like he's literally like talking with all of the people coming in and like building relationships with them. And, you know, the F1 commentators like love him.
Yeah.
And
that
again,
helps,
I think
the extroverted.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll that may be the last tangent I go on about Franco, but probably not.
That'll be another for sure.
You know.
For sure.
But back to the race again.
Sorry.
So Lando was pushing for fastest lap, and at the end,
he had it for like 10-ish laps, maybe.
Yes, at the end of it, Daniel Ricciardo put new tires on, new soft tires, and went out and got fastest lap. It's a whole controversy because basically if you don't finish in the top 10, you don't get the point for fastest lap. So the
what?
Yes, I know. Remember we were talking about it earlier and I said that, and I swear I heard about IndyCar, but it was actually about Formula 1 that I heard it. So if you aren't in the top 10, you don't get the fastest lap point. But if you get the fastest lap, you still take away that point from the person in the top 10. I'm 90% positive about this. Don't trust me.
I hope you're talking.
So basically, no one got the point for fastest lap. So Daniel doing that didn't really benefit him in any way other than it taking a point away from Lando, which doesn't help him or his team at all. Obviously, it helps his buddy Max and Red Bull.
I've got a rant incoming.
Yeah.
It is bullshit that they can do this. RB and Red Bull can come together to do this as sister teams, whatever. Because Max, I'm not going to count Yuki in this. Max has Checo helping him. Max has Daniel helping him with this championship. And I know it's all a team effort, and it should be between you and your teammate. Not you and your teammate and your good friend who's on your sister team.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Like, Lando, not fair, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, Mercedes, Lewis isn't out here, like, taking away fastest lap from Max. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And while I get that we're kind of biased about this because we're not Red Bull. Like, if this situation was different and it was McLaren, I'd be like, oh, they can't really stop them. And there's not even a way to mandate them to not do it.
Well, Zach Brown's going to try.
If anyone's going to try, Zach Brown. I just saw a TikTok of a guy, and he was, like, looking at the FIA handbook and found, like, a spot that, like, I don't know. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I'm interested. But, it's a hard thing to mandate. So I get why I don't even know what the solution would be to like fix this solution.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, well, he just wanted to go for fastest lap, nothing's stopping him. He technically didn't do anything wrong. But he's not getting a point for it. It makes no sense. But then again, like they can do like the strategy calls, they can make what they want to make. I don't know. But I do think it's ridiculous. But it also just kind of proves how great McLaren is doing that they have to put like 4 cars all in to fix, you know, to help the strategy and help Max out. Yeah. But I am happy for Daniel to get something out of...
Yeah, but he did something not even for himself.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start on Daniel.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been...
Let's get into it. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Okay, so at the beginning of the week, we saw... Oh, okay. September 15th, we knew that Liam Lawson became a free agent on September 15th. And everybody was like, what's going to happen? Is Red Bull going to pick him up? Is Red Bull going to keep him? Are we going to hear about some contracts? Is he popping over to Sauber?
Sauber was a big one.
Sauber was a big one, yeah. And we didn't really hear anything until, I would say, like Monday-ish. We heard that right after Singapore, Liam's seat for 2025 at RB is going to be announced. So everybody's like, all right, well, Daniel, finish up the season. Liam's going to take over for 2025. Makes sense. We kind of saw this coming. And then the weekend is starting, and Thursday we're hearing this is Daniel Ricciardo's last race. And Ralf Schumacher, which he loves to talk his shit, he said this is seemingly Daniel Ricciardo's last Formula One race. And we were like, okay, well, it's Ralph talking. Like, you know, it's okay. No, throughout the whole weekend, even Daniel himself was like, I've seen all the things. I know what's happening.
He's like, I don't know. I don't know anything until after the weekend, but I'm not going to be shocked by anything that happens, basically. And again, yeah, like, this is all rumor, and something, like, a side note, I'm not, like, the biggest Daniel Ricciardo fan ever, but I think it's going to be weird to have him not participate, because even there was, like, briefly time last year that he technically didn't have a spot.
Yeah.
But, like, to think... I don't know if Daniel or Yuki should move into the Red Bull spot. But I do think it's a little unfair that Daniel and Yuki are much closer at battling back and forth. And Daniel actually has been the leading RB in the past couple of races. While Max and Checo are so far separated.
Yeah.
But the reason that Checo is keeping the spot, rumored, allegedly, is basically because they are scared that it will drop prices and money. It's all money. It's all politics, all of that. And while, like, I get it, their hands are kind of tied in the situation.
Yeah.
But they basically have 5 drivers that they want to keep, and they can't keep all 5, and someone has to go. It just sucks that it's Daniel.
Yeah, and so this is kind of what... Because we were like, why wouldn't they just sign Liam on for 2025, let Daniel finish? And we were kind of talking about it. And you had said this, that you were wondering if maybe Liam's camp came and said, if this happens, this is our speculation. Maybe they were like, hey, you've got to get Liam in this car or we are going over to Sauber.
We're signing with Sauber.
And I think that is a good possibility because I think Red Bull is too afraid to lose Liam, not even just for 2025, but for the rest of the season. If something happens to one of the drivers, they know he's experienced, they know he's been in the car, they know he can help get them points constructor-wise. And, or if, you know, something happens, like they had to pull Checo or something.
Yeah. And I do believe that Daniel is enough of Red Bull's bitch that he will stay. It's true.
Damn,
it's true.
Okay.
He will stay, I think, as a reserve driver, and they'll still be able to keep Daniel. Daniel's not going to go sign with another team.
No.
He's not going to go sign with Sauber. It didn't work last time. He signed with another team.
Yeah.
Basically ruined his career.
Oh.
But
shit. Oh my God, I'd be getting a lot of community service from the FIA this episode.
But I think that they'll be able to keep Daniel as a reserve driver. And again, that way if something happens to one of their 4 drivers, they can pull Daniel in.
Yeah.
Or just keep him as a reserve driver for the time moving forward. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, we know how Red Bull is. And we know how quickly things change. Say that they do pull Daniel Ricciardo. They pull, you know, Danny didn't have a spot last year, and they pulled him in because one of their drivers, De Vries was doing horrible. Who knows? Maybe next year, somebody else, maybe Checo does so bad that they're like, okay, let's put Daniel in.
I think that if this is well and truly Daniel's last race, he's retiring.
You think so? You don't think he'll stay a reserve driver?
No, I don't think so.
But what else is he going to do?
I feel like he's had so much throughout his career of, like, push and pull and back and forth and, like, strenuous things. I don't know.
I'd like to see him go to NASCAR.
He's like scared of IndyCar. I don't think he's going to NASCAR.
I would love to see him in NASCAR, though. I think he would be an iconic addition to the NASCAR grid.
Daniel Ricciardo racing against Bubba Wallace.
It'd be so funny.
So funny.
Yeah, he made a comment that he's scared of IndyCar, so I don't think he'll be going there. And honestly, I don't think it's the right fit for him.
No,
honestly.
I don't think so.
So, yeah, maybe he does retire. Mm-hmm. I could see him coming back and doing a lot of media, presenting and commentating stuff.
I feel like the wound might be a little deep. We'll give it a year or two.
Yeah, give him some time.
And he'll be great at it. He'll be very much like Jensen Button level good. He'll be great at talking to the drivers after tough races and stuff like that. Yeah, he'd do a great job. I think what really started solidifying things for everybody is after the race, he took so long to get out of his car. First of all, he sat there for so long. It was heartbreaking, the video. And then there were a bunch of interviews, the biggest one being with Lawrence Barretto, where Lawrence asked him a question, and Daniel basically just started talking and was like, if this is my last race, I don't know. He was
getting
so emotional.
choked up about it. His tears in his eyes. He talked about how he wanted to, he was like, if it's my last time in the car, I wanted to savor it. He's like, it's all I've really known for so long. And again, I was listening to it, and I was in the other room, and he was getting so choked up that I literally couldn't tell who was talking. I had to come into the room to be like, who is giving an interview right now?
Who is this? Yeah.
So yeah, it was really sad.
Yeah, that was quite heartbreaking. And then we heard that he was the very last one to leave the paddock. He was hugging everybody. People made back to his garage, just fans made a tunnel for him to walk through.
It's really funny, actually.
It's so they didn't have their arms up, but all I could imagine was 5-year-old soccer games where they make the tunnel. Yeah, and that was Michelle Kim. Illman.
Yeah,
he made. I can never say his last name. He made a video and was like, Daniel's the last one to leave the paddock. After celebrating, Lando came over to talk to him. He's been hugging everybody, talking to everybody. This very much seems like a goodbye type of deal.
But someone did make a comment, made a tweet, and was like, imagine he just shows up to Coda like nothing happened. He's and because again, Red Bull, keeping in mind that literally 3 weeks ago, the rumor was that he was taking Checo's seat. Yeah. So how quickly things have changed in the span of less a month.
And it's always for Daniel too. Yeah. And just this, that's why I think part of him could be I'm done. Yeah. I want out. But who knows? Also, we know Red Bull has their, actually, I was going to say qualms. Is that the right word?
I don't know what you're going to say, so I don't know.
They make shitty moves a lot, but I feel this is the shittiest thing they have done. There's no way that say what we think is true, Liam's camp came and said, we'll even go to Sauber. Say that's true. There's no way their camp didn't come to Red Bull RB early on in the year and been this is going to happen if you don't make these moves. It's not they just said this on Monday. Yeah, and absolutely. I feel they should have, if this truly happens and Liam gets the seat for Coda and onwards, they should have taken him off at summer break. Yeah. This is horrible. Yeah. It's the same thing with Logan.
And Daniel's favorite race, too.
Yeah, that is a knife to the heart. Yeah. Yeah, they, I don't know, the way they're doing this, it's just...
But Red Bull does stuff like this all the time, and I don't get a lot of their reasoning. But...
No, I don't either. It could have been a proper thing, too. A proper goodbye that he deserves.
Yeah, if they announced it, they could have said, he could have left the paddock knowing it was his last race. Again, if he does show up, he's got to look like a damn fool.
I don't think so.
Or at least everybody else. All the F1 TV presenters are going to look like a fool. Yeah, but everyone will be happy. Everyone loves Daniel so much.
And especially if he comes back for Coda, too. After,
oh my god, it's going to be an icon. He'll be like, I'm back, baby.
He's riding that horse in again.
Yeah, as he should.
As he should.
But yeah, so it was a very chaotic weekend.
Yeah. Not even racing-wise.
Not even race-wise. The race was pretty straightforward. I mean, at the end of the day, the race, from Lando to Max, it was a 20-second gap. And then from Max to Oscar, who came in third, it was a 20-second gap. And then from Oscar to, who came in fourth, George or Charles?
Oh, actually, I
don't remember.
George.
Yeah, that was, like, also a huge gap, too. So, like, yes, the race was probably a little on the boring side, but the weekend made up for it.
Yeah, so much was happening.
So much was happening. And again, like, there were so many, kind of going back to, like, the weather, like, so many people struggled getting out of the car. Like, a lot of them, you could even tell, like, during, like, the interviews, like, Oscar and Lando and Max were, like, out of breath. Well, Max less so, which he's, like, superhuman. But they were, like, out of breath talking, and they were, like, even Lando, like, during his thing was, like, I'm a little dizzy right now. Like, I can't. There was a clip where Charles was interviewing with Will Buxton and James Hinchcliffe. And as he was talking, like, he was, like, his mouth was, like, so dry, and he was, like, struggling to, like, get the words out. And then, like, while he was talking, Will, like, reached down and grabbed water, opened it for him, and handed it to him. And he was like, thanks. Like,
yeah.
So it's like they were obviously very dehydrated. Both George and Lewis literally got excused from media duties because of how, like, they were so close to having a heat stroke.
I also didn't fact check this myself, but I saw a few people talking about how George and Lewis were, everybody was struggling, but they were struggling a bit because the car has so many cooling issues. So their car was overheating a lot, which, hey, that's not okay.
Let's fix that.
Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Maybe before Qatar person.
Franco was struggling to get out of his car afterwards as well.
Yeah, Franco was struggling.
Which again, like, it was his very, like, what a race to be on your third race. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is insane. Also, Daniel got driver of the day, which was go out with a bang. Shall we do our champagne pops and champagne problems?
Yes.
Okay. Who is your champagne pop going to for the Singapore Grand Prix?
I'm gonna give my champagne pop to McLaren.
Okay.
Because I think they had good strategy. They kept their heads on straight, and you know they made sure that Lando kept his lead and got that taken care of. But they also made sure to manage. They were able to manage both drivers basically, which very rarely can they do, unfortunately. And both of them finished on the podium. They both finished happy. Oscar made up a lot of 2 places from qualifying, and I think all in all, I am happy with what they did.
They look like a happy family again. Which,
thank God.
My champagne pop, I'm going to give it to Franco.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He deserves it.
You heard me talk about how I think he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked enough about Franco already. I think you all know why.
I'll keep going if you want.
Yeah, that's start alone. That did it for me. Who is your champagne problem?
I'm going to give my champagne problem to the FIA.
Good one.
Because, one, they made that stupid call, but they have been made out to look like a fool the rest of the weekend.
A fool. I'm going to agree with you on the champagne problem to the FIA. Because also, don't we maybe have bigger things to worry about? Like maybe Christian Horner?
Yeah.
Maybe some sexual predators staying in your teams?
Yeah.
I think we have bigger things to worry about than Max saying fuck in an interview.
Yeah. Well, God forbid.
Literally.
Should we take a look at the standings?
Yes, let's look at them.
Not anything crazy happened, but McLaren did
extend their gap.
I was trying to find the word extend. Extend their gap to Red Bull. So McLaren for the Constructors' Cup has 516 points, while Red Bull is following with 475. Where did Checo end up in the race? 10th. So he got 1 point.
Yeah.
And that again just proves that yes, Checo has these good races. He did good in Baku, but he always does good in Baku. That's like his best track. So obviously he's going to do good. But when you take Baku out of the situation, out of the looking at the whole picture, he is not where he needs to be.
No, he really
isn't.
Not.
And I'm not saying that Daniel is going to be able to keep up with Max anymore in a Red Bull. I'm not saying that Liam is. I'm not saying that Yuki is. I don't know. But it's not Checo. I still don't know why they didn't. I still don't know why they didn't offer Carlos, or maybe they did and they could. But like, I think Carlos could keep up with Max in a Red Bull.
I think Carlos could keep up with Max in a Red Bull. I think Carlos would put up more of a fight than say.
But would you rather have 2 drivers that don't get along perfectly, or would you rather lose the Constructors' Cup?
I also Yeah, I agree with your points as well. I heard that Carlos and Max have different driving styles. So, obviously, given the opportunity, Carlos would have taken that Red Bull seat 100%. Yeah, actually, that's a really good question, because I was riding hard on the Carlos to Red Bull train.
Yeah, we wanted that bad. And then, like, again, like...
That's actually, wait a minute. That is such a good question.
But then also, like, if you think about it, like, how... We don't know if Daniel or Yuki or Liam or even, like, Isaac Hajar, we don't know how they would do with Max and Red Bull, because Checo's been twiddling his thumbs in that seat for, you know, how many races now? Like, we're into so many races, and there's not been any consistent improvement in Checo's performance.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was, again, side note. So yeah, Red Bull's in 475 in the Constructors' Cup. Ferrari they're sneaking up on them at 441. Imagine they drop down to third.
That would,
again, at the end of the day...
Yeah.
Ferrari's not the most consistent team, but at least they have two drivers that are consistently at the top.
Yeah.
Or near the top.
Yeah.
Red Bull doesn't.
No, they don't. How fed up do you think Max is?
I think he's losing his marbles.
I think he's going to retire in 26.
He made a comment even today and was like, listen, at the end of the day, like, FIA is going to do things that they're going to do, and I'm going to make my statements, and Formula One's going to carry on the same if I were to leave.
Yeah.
But also my life will carry on as well if I left Formula One. And, like, implied that he's basically, like, so fed up. He's like, I'm about to bounce.
Yeah.
And I think he's had enough success that, like, he probably really doesn't.
He doesn't need to do anything. I think he loves racing so much that he would try WEC.
Yeah.
And I realistically think that's the only series he would do. Mm-hmm. Or, like, maybe, like, 20% chance, maybe do a 500 entry.
That'd be crazy.
That would be, oh my god.
Would be crazy.
Max would do it, but he would be like, I'm not doing the driver's signing, I'm not doing anything extra. If you want me in this race, I'm driving, I'm qualifying, I'm practicing, and that's it.
And everyone would be like, sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Imagine, like, he did it with McLaren or something. Like, I feel like it would probably be...
Zach Brown would literally, like, lose it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, looking at the driver standing, again, Lando... Chipping away at the gap a little bit. So, Max is at 331 points, while Lando's at 279. A what-if situation would be that if basically, moving forward for every single race, moving forward, if Lando got first and Max got second, because of the one point that Daniel Ricciardo took away from him for fastest lap, Max could still win.
Max would still win. Yeah, that's also including Lando getting fastest lap at every race.
Yes. So basically, in order for Lando to win the Drivers' Championship, Max is going to have a bad race. Which isn't, again, if you would have said that last year, you would have said no way. But this year, it's not completely out of the scope of things to have a race where Red Bull is struggling at the track.
It's also going to be very interesting because Helmut Marko in the media has said it's going to take us till Austin to fix these issues.
Yeah.
So going in Austin, it's going to be interesting to see if they fix these issues well. If they've, like, it's, I don't know. They have 4 weeks to figure this out.
Yeah, with any upgrade that gets brought, it either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, a lot of times what will happen is that if it's an easy, like, backtrack, okay, they'll just take the improvements, like, off the car.
Yeah, the upgrades.
The upgrades off the car. But if it's not easily fixable, like, they're stuck with them until they can, like, take some time to fix it. So it's going to be really dependent on what it looks like at Austin. I think we'll know a lot more what to expect for the rest of the season once we get Austin out of the way.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunately a long time away. It's like 27 days away to Austin.
That's upsetting. IndyCar's over. We have a Formula One fall break.
What are
followed by, we have a fall break for Formula One, followed by a triple header. Sure. And I get it. They do the Americas together, which it's actually always such a fun time. I say always. This is my second season.
It is.
I had another great comment. I don't know. Oh, and I just, not to speak ill, but something happens to Max and Lando, Charles could just
Yeah.
And it lit this once again just like out there, but this is just like insane how this season is going compared to last year.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got so lucky with IndyCar about the like championship being decided with the final race.
Yeah.
Granted, it wasn't like it was pretty obvious that Alex Palou was going to win the IndyCar championship, but it wasn't impossible. And I think that, you know, Formula One fans have just gotten so used to like Max basically securing both the constructors and the drivers championship multiple races before the end, before Abu Dhabi. We haven't really had like a close thing like this since what, 2021?
Yeah, it's 21.
So
2018 was another good year for that.
So I'm super excited. But yeah, Charles is, like I said, Max is at 331, Lando's at 279, and Charles is sitting at 245. Oscar's really not far off of Charles. I would love for Oscar to get third.
Yeah, I would love for Oscar to get third.
Because he's honestly only 8 points off. Mm-hmm. Not 8. 8 points off of Charles. So that could possibly even like as early as the next race, he could move into third, which I think would be a great win for McLaren, even if we don't end up winning the Drivers' Championship, to have, you know, Lando and Oscar be second and third, especially with it being Oscar's second year.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic. He's
doing so good.
And remember what I said after Zandvoort? I was like, what if Oscar and Lando just go back and forth, trading wins? And Monza was a little bump in the road, but here we are. Back and forth trading wins.
Yep.
And let's hope that stays.
Yeah, I would love for this to continue. I want McLaren to pull so far ahead that they secure the Constructors' Cup early. It'd be nice if they did it in Vegas. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know the math. I don't even know if that's possible.
Don't even talk to me about math.
Yeah, I don't know about the math. But it probably is impossible.
No, I don't think Vegas.
But that would be great because hopefully we'll be there.
Well, we will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yep.
Manifesting.
Yes, absolutely. This is manifestation space. We will be in Vegas for the race. I'm very excited. I love Las Vegas so much.
I've never been.
It's so fun.
I've never been. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, like we've talked about, we have a 4-week break from Formula One. IndyCar's over. Those are our two main things we talk about. So, we will be posting this week. We will have some fun episodes coming for you. I'm sure we're going to have to do some rumors and news for both Formula One and IndyCar.
There'll be stuff that's coming up.
Yeah, for sure. And we, during this break, will also post our IndyCar ranking episode where we're going to rank our favorite tracks. And
we're going to have a bunch of categories.
Yeah,
There's a specific, I think we talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But specific episode where we're ranking the hot dogs.
Well, in that episode, not just one episode. Imagine we
one
talk
whole
for 45
episode.
minutes talking about hot dogs. I probably could, actually.
Could. If anyone could, we could.
No, absolutely. Speaking of which, our friends told us it's kind of insane that we eat hot dogs not at sporting events. Do you guys, like, buy hot dogs at the grocery store?
I love a hot dog.
I love hot dogs.
I love hot dogs.
Yeah, so we'll have some fun episodes coming for you guys. Stick with us with that.
Yeah, and if there's anything that you want us to cover during this break, let us know. If you... We could even do like a whole episode kind of on prepping to go to an IndyCar race. We've been to a Formula One race, but only one, so we probably don't have as much experience.
It's like we just race in general, prep that you do. Yeah.
What I take in my track pack.
Mm-hmm,
my track pack has really developed over the span of this season, and I do feel as though I have perfected my track pack.
Yeah, you have a great track pack. Mm-hmm. Real quick, IndyCar updates before we head out. It was announced this week. Thank God. Marcus Armstrong is going to drive the 66 for Meyer Shank. We are very happy about that.
We love him.
I know not everybody is. Sorry. Very exciting. And we saw today our favorite IndyCar reporter is Tony Donahue. You guys, he will give you the inside scoop first.
He's never steered us wrong before.
And he, in Nashville, was kind of like, okay, Logan, it's rumored that he's going to be doing some testing. And then today, he's also very trusted. Like, almost everything he has tweeted that I have seen, like, rumors-wise, has come true. Mm-hmm. He said today that in November, Logan is supposed to be doing a IndyCar testing with Meyer Shank.
Which would be iconic.
Which is very interesting. Meyer Shank has both drivers secured for 25. But we talked about some of our friends. They have an IMSA team. We were like, are they going to bring in a third car maybe for 26? I don't know. Who knows what's happening?
He also hinted that Alexander Rossi is going to Ed Carpenter.
Yes. And Ed Carpenter announced that they were departing. Well, Renus announced he was departing with Ed Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of.
And I'm going to say this again. Every day that goes by that there isn't a announcement of someone else taking the number 30 car,
yes,
I'm taking it as a win.
Absolutely.
The day that happens, and if it's not Pietro, don't talk to me. I'll need a day. You can talk to me.
Okay.
No one else can.
I don't know how I'm going to console you.
I just hope that it's not like a day that I'm like on a business trip or something. I'm talking to my boss and I'm like, Kelly, you don't understand. Like,
I'll just
she actually would understand.
No,
I talk
she
about
would
Pietro
understand.
at work as well.
I'll just don't look at anything.
I won't look at anything on social media, unfortunately, because I feel as though I'm gonna get quite a few messages.
Your phone's gonna blow up.
It's gonna be like when Logan got dropped, MJ getting all the messages.
MJ got all of those messages.
So we'll just see. But if everyone can put out some good vibes, I'd appreciate that.
For sure. Oh, and RLL got raided by the FBI.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, and we don't really have much to talk about it. Apparently, it was a rumor, nothing confirmed, but a rumor is that it was an engineer that went from Andretti to RLL, and he downloaded some stuff from when he was working at Andretti that he was working on, brought it over to RLL. Whole scandal there. It seems fine. Like, they moved on pretty quickly from it.
We didn't hear much.
They were already, like, talking about they had a great weekend for IMSA this weekend. Yeah. RLL did. Although, you know what? They still haven't said anything about who won those little Pietro cars. Those signed Pietro cars.
It's okay.
And I don't know if they just DM'd these people directly.
End of the month.
No, it was Tuesday the 17th.
Okay, I don't think you won. It's the 22nd.
They said they were going to announce it. They did, like, they haven't announced anything.
They did.
Well, they need to put a statement out.
Okay, it's okay.
I'll buy one when they go on sale.
Yeah. Oh no. On that note, thank you so much for listening to our recap of the Singapore Grand Prix. We will have some good episodes for you these next 4 weeks. And I hope everybody gets through this break okay. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah.
What
am I going to do? Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
See you next week.